Hello and welcome to this presentation by Bob Proctor and Sandra Gallagher for Thinking into Results. My name is Rebecca Armstrong and it is a joy and pleasure to welcome you to this presentation. Bob Proctor is regarded as one of the pioneer masters and teachers of the law of attraction. Bob Proctor has brilliantly unleashed the true potential of people's minds for over 47 years. Founder of Life Success Productions, Proctor authored the best-selling book, You Were Born Rich, and is a direct protege of Earl Nightingale, who was a master of changing lives by changing how you think. When it comes to systemizing the success of life, no one else can touch the resources that Bob Proctor offers. Sandra Gallagher was a corporate attorney for over 21 years, with expertise in handling billions of dollars in mergers and acquisitions. She has advised corporate boards and high-ranking executives of companies from startups to Fortune 50. Sandra Gallagher first met Bob Proctor in 2006 and immersed herself as a dedicated student of this material. Sandra Gallagher is now the CEO and president of Bob Proctor's Life Success Group of companies and co-authored Thinking into Results with Bob Proctor. She works closely with Proctor and his team of licensed Thinking into Results facilitators who facilitate and coach on Bob Proctor's core materials. Without further ado, I am very pleased and honored to introduce your presenters for the evening, Bob Proctor and Sandra Gallagher. Bob, welcome to the line.
Well, I want to welcome everybody and welcome Sandy. You're there as a co-presenter. Are you with us?
I'm here. Hi, Bob.
There you go. You're very loud.
Oh, well, you want me to turn down?
You can turn it down a little bit if you want. It's pretty high. At any rate, let's get going here. We're going to be talking about the Thinking into Results program. And as you get into these programs, we've got an idea that we work with. When people in a company become more productive, the increase in profits go right to the bottom line. And for over 40 years, Life Success Productions has been assisting corporations from all over the world to substantially increase their productivity. Now, although we believe that the first order of business is profit, since a company cannot survive without profit, we don't believe that that's the purpose of any human organization. The purpose of all human organizations, we believe, is to make life more meaningful. And so we've put together a series of programs that we've conducted over the years, and you're going to find that what you're looking at here tonight is a phenomenal opportunity. Becoming a certified consultant with Thinking into Results is truly a unique, it's truly a unique opportunity. And as you look at this, you're going to realize that. Now, this presentation will be going on for somewhere 30 to 40 minutes. If for any reason you have to leave before the presentation's over and want more information, that is where you'll go to get it. If you want more information, you go to, just send an email or go to bobproctor.com/earn as you learn. Earn as you learn, because that's the way the opportunity works. So if you need more information and you have to leave before the presentation's over, you might want to jot that down. It's just bobproctor.com/earn as you learn. Now, as you get into this, we're going to suggest that as a consultant, you're going to be asking people questions. And here's one question that we think is a good question to ask anyone. If a loved one asked you where they could go to learn how to substantially improve their ability to earn money, where would you send them? You see, we believe this is a good question. Now, although Thinking into Results touches all areas of a person's life, we know that finance is an area that affects everyone's life, and where one individual may want to improve their productivity in one area, another person in another area. Money is something that's measurable. You can measure it right to the penny. And I have never known anyone that had too much money, or if they did, they weren't doing what they should be doing. I see money as just used for two things. One is to make you comfortable, and the other, it enables you to expand the service that you render far beyond your own presence. Here's a couple more questions that I believe demand an answer. Why do so many brilliant people continue to have financial difficulties all through life? Now, these are questions you're going to be asking as a consultant, but you're also going to be solving the problem for people. Why do some people who are functionally illiterate become millionaires? That's a bit of a puzzle to some people. Why does only 1% of our population earn 96% of all the money that's earned? Now, if you have trouble even believing that, I can understand it. If you are not familiar with these statistics, that would seem like a gross exaggeration. The truth is, and the sad truth is, it's not. 1% of our population earns 96% of all the money that's being earned. And it's not that it has to be that way. It's that the group that are not earning it, they don't know something. And that's what we want to teach them. Now think of this. Why can a child learn multiple languages, but we don't teach them anything about how to earn money? And yet their whole life is going to be impacted by it. Well, there's some of the questions that you would be asking people. You'd be asking them a lot more, and you would be solving the problem. But as you look at this, thinking into results as an opportunity is an incredible opportunity. Thinking in results, we always say, this program has you a step ahead of the crowd. TIR consultants get results for their clients. As you see here, a thinking into result consultant, you have the best material and the best training in the world. Now, I am very proud of being able to say that as the chairman of this company, but I say it with good reason. Our company has quite an impressive heritage. It goes right back to Andrew Carnegie back in 1908, when he was, at that time, the wealthiest man in the world. He was a young man that came to America from Scotland. He had nothing, and he rose to prominence. And his philosophy is there on the screen. Any idea that is held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. Now, that is the philosophy that underlies the Thinking into Result program. Pardon me. In fact, that's the philosophy that underlies all of life's success programs. Now, how did that come about? Well, Carnegie spent half his life earning money, and he spent the other half giving it away. And towards the end of his life, he thought it was an absolute shame that people like themselves were going to their grave with all this knowledge locked up within them. And so he was looking for someone to write the laws of achievement. This young man, Napoleon Hill, had a 3-hour interview with Carnegie. At the end of the 3 hours, Carnegie said, "This interview isn't ending, it's just beginning." I'm taking you right back here a little over 100 years. And he said, "I want you to come home with me." He took him home, and they spent 3 days together. At the end of the 3 days, Carnegie asked Hill, he said, "I'm going to ask you a question. I just want a yes or a no answer." He said, "Would you spend the rest of your life, dedicate the rest of your life to an idea for which you would probably receive no material compensation for at least 20 years? Now, unbeknownst to Hill, he gave him 60 seconds to answer the question. Hill answered it in 25 seconds. He said, yes, he would. Now, there's an interesting part to this. Carnegie told Hill that he wanted him to go out and write the laws of achievement, and he gave him letters of introduction to 500 of the world's most powerful people. Hill became intimate friends with people like Henry Ford and Thomas Edison and Woodrow Wilson, and he could go on and on and on, Harvey Firestone. I mean, giants in business and industry. And Hill became personally connected with them. And he picked their brain. And then he wrote the laws of achievement. And out of the laws of achievement came this book that Hill turned out in 1937, Think and Grow Rich. Now, that's a photocopy of my book. I got that in 1961. I have never stopped reading it. There's an interesting aspect to this story. When Hill said he would dedicate the rest of his life, he would take on Carnegie's challenge. Carnegie told him he wasn't going to give him any money. You're going to have to do this on your own. But he said, I will give you the guidance. I will give you the letters of introduction so that you're going to be mixing with the most powerful people in the world. Now, he said, Napoleon, you're going to have trouble doing this. And he said, you're going to have many times when you're going to feel like quitting. So he said, I'm going to give you an affirmation, and I want you to write it out. I want you to write it by hand. Now, he said, as you write this, understand, this is something you are going to be saying. I said, I want you to write every word. And this is his affirmation. Andrew Carnegie, I'm not only going to match your achievements in life, I'm going to meet you at the post or challenge you at the post, and I'm going to pass you at the grandstand. And Hill looked at him, and he threw his pencil on the floor. He said, now, you know darn well I'm not going to be able to do that. Hill was a struggling young reporter for a magazine. Carnegie was the wealthiest man in the world. And Carnegie said, no. He said, I know you're not going to be able to do it unless and until you bury the idea that I've just given you in your mind. And remember what he said his philosophy was? Any idea that is held in the mind, that is emphasized, it's either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. So he said, Napoleon, I want you to commit to me that you will read that twice a day, looking in the mirror, looking at yourself. You will read that twice every day for 30 days. Well, Hill said, I can do that. And he said the first time he read it, his brother was living with him, and he didn't want his brother to hear him, so he went and locked himself in the bathroom, and he looked in the mirror, and he virtually whispered it. Andrew Carnegie, I'm not only going to meet your achievements in life. You know, he thought this was ridiculous. But I want you to think of this. It's reported that Andrew Carnegie, in his lifetime, made 53 millionaires. Napoleon Hill, in his lifetime and since his life, has made millions of millionaires, and I am one of them. His philosophy is all over the world today. I got it in 1961, and I have never stopped studying it. Carnegie passed that information along to Hill. Hill passed it along to Earl Nightingale, who was a broadcaster in Chicago, and he retired at the age of 35, financially independent from broadcasting. I got studying Earl Nightingale's material on this recording in 1961, along with Think and Grow Rich, and I became absolutely fascinated with the philosophy. I ended up going and meeting Earl Nightingale in Chicago. I got an appointment. I spent an hour with him. And when I left his office, I asked him, I said, Earl, what is the secret? What is the big deal? And he looked at me and said, there is no secret. He said, the secret is just simply find out what you love doing and then dedicate your life to it. He said, the problem is most people have never figured out what they love to do. Well, I couldn't even begin to tell you how enthused I felt sitting in his office that day, because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to do what he was doing, and I wanted to do it with him. And I made up my mind I was going to. Now, that's he and his Earl Nightingale and his partner Lloyd Conant. And that is me with them in 1968. I went to work with them, and I became their vice president of sales. I spent 5 years with those two men. I got an education the likes of which I don't know if you could get today. So the information that we have in our programs that you would be using as a consultant of our company stretches right back to Andrew Carnegie, to Napoleon Hill, to Earl Nightingale, to myself, to you. You have some of the richest material in the world. And that's what this program is. This is a powerful, powerful program. This program is rich because it produces results wherever you go. Sandra Gallagher, who's the President and Chief Executive Officer of our company, and myself just finished a world tour last week. We left Toronto and we went to Israel. We went from there to Cyprus, from Cyprus to Dubai, from Dubai to Melbourne, Australia, from Melbourne to Auckland, New Zealand. Then we went to Los Angeles, and then I came back to Toronto. Everywhere we went, people raved about the results they got from our material. The Thinking into Results program is a rich program. Now think of this for a moment. Companies have historically left their greatest resource largely untapped. That resource is the intelligence, the initiative, the productive power latent in every individual. This is powerful information that we're dealing with. And in this program, we get into what makes us tick. Now, look at this for a moment. There's two things a person must know to improve their performance. They have to know where they are, and they have to know where they're going, and then they've got to get moving. Now, that is so obvious, and it's so simple. You have to ask, why are so many people stuck? Why do we have millions of people out of work? We're God's highest form of creation. We are creative beings. We can create work for ourselves and create enough for everybody else. Think. We've got phenomenal powers. Why are people stuck? Well, the obvious answer would be that they have no goal, but I don't think that's the right answer. They may not have had their goal in writing, and they may not be too articulate with it, but I think most people know what they want. They want more than they've got. The problem lies right here, where they are. And the problem is locked up in one word, paradigms. People are conditioned genetically and then environmentally. The part of their mind that controls the behavior is not the part of their mind where they gather the information. So our company has dedicated itself to help people understand this and how to change it. And when we communicate this information, the changes are shocking. Many years ago, I took all this information into the Prudential of America, the largest insurance company in the world. This is all on record. Their sales went up by hundreds of millions of dollars. In Auckland, New Zealand, a lady stood up in the seminar and spoke to the audience. And he said, this man changed my life 22 years ago. I was 25 years old, and after his program, I quit my job and I went out and started a company. She started the Pumpkin Patch. It's a company that went public. Everybody in the room that gasped because it's a multi-million-dollar company today. She learned how to change her paradigm. So as a consultant, you're going to work with companies, with individuals, with groups of individuals, and we focus on 4 different areas in our life. When you dig into this, you're going to find that the Thinking and Results consulting opportunity does focus on 4 areas. Now, the first area it focuses on is paradigms, because it's the paradigm that stops most people from living the way they want to live. It's absolutely phenomenal. And as we start to understand how the paradigm works, what do we shift? We shift our perception. Our perception is how we see our life. We start to look at our life different than we're looking at it right now. I was on the phone with a young man who's not too far from where I'm living right now. I live in Toronto, in Thornhill, North Toronto. And I was talking to this young man, and I asked him what's the most he had earned in a year, and he said $175,000. And I told him, I said, if you'll do exactly what I tell you, I'll show you how to earn $1 million. Now, what I was doing, I was helping him shift his paradigm. His name was David, and I think David may be on the line. But that's exactly what I could do. And I told David, I said, you know, there's a secret to winning in a big way. I said, you have to go and listen to people that are winning in a big way. I learned that years ago. You find someone who's doing what you want to do, and you listen to them, and you do exactly what they tell you until you find out they're lying to you or they don't know what they're talking about. Now, I started to do that in 1961. I have had 7 mentors, all who were very successful individuals. They never lied to me, and they always knew what they were talking about. If you want to earn money, if you want to change the results you're getting, I guarantee you, I can show you how to do it. I can not only show you how to do it, I can train you to go and show other people how to do it. So when that happens, your world changes. You become a very, very powerful individual. Now, we're all powerful. It's just that most people don't understand it. All the power in the universe is omnipresent. We've got awesome powers locked up within us. I wrote a book, Born Rich, many years ago. And the idea behind it is we have deep reservoirs of talent and ability within us. We have to learn to bring it to the surface. We've got to reclaim our power. We're powerful individuals. We measure ourselves the wrong way. We measure ourselves from past performance. We want to measure ourselves from the understanding that we gain from wise individuals. As a consultant, that's what you'll be doing. And you turn all this, the shift in paradigm, the change in perception, the recapturing the power, and you turn it into profit. See, I happen to think profit is an honorable word. And I am running a class for or with certain consultants in our company in California the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of December. And the whole thing is designed to show them how to go out and earn $1 million. I'm going to give them the tools to do it. I'm going to show them how to do it. I did it way back in the 60s. I know how to do it, and I know how to teach people. And as a consultant, that's what I'm working on. If you decide to be a consultant, I'm the guy you're going to be working with. Rebecca Armstrong is the director, the executive director of our training program. The training is ongoing. I am taking on a special role with the consultants that really want to make it happen, that are prepared to pay the price, to step up to bat and really get it going. Now, what are paradigms? Paradigms are nothing but a multitude of habits. If you look in great psychology books, you get a definition that only a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or possibly a behavioral scientist might understand. That is what a paradigm is. It's a multitude of habits. And get this, they're other people's habits that have been passed on from one generation to the next. That's rather sad. Let's look how they affect us. Because the mind is the greatest power in all of creation. Paradigms shape our logic. And you know our logic is our ceiling. We won't go beyond logic. We say, well, that would be unrealistic. Who went beyond logic? Who broke the logic barrier? Well, the Wright brothers did. Edison did. Sir Edmund Hillary did. Think about it for a moment. Andrew Carnegie did. Napoleon Hill did. Earl Nightingale did. Bob Proctor has. Sandra Gallagher has. And you know something? As a consultant, you're going to break that logic barrier. You're going to do things that you never dreamed you would do because you're going to get into the most powerful information in the world. The paradigm controls how we utilize our time. Everybody gets the same amount of time. We get all there is. It's what we do with our time. We can take a marvelous idea and turn it around in about 24 hours. Get it out there. Really make it happening. I'm doing it all the time. And I'm going to teach people how to do it. Your paradigm controls your effectiveness, and your effectiveness controls your productivity. We've already talked about perception. We're going to show you how to shift your perception. You're going to change your point of view on a lot of things, and this is one of them. Your ability to earn money. It's going to change like night and day. Now, think of this for a moment. All this begins in your own marvelous mind. You know, we had a psychiatrist that I worked with for a year, Dr. John Mike in Florida. He said I taught him more about the mind in a year than he learned in 4 years of medical school and 5 years of psychiatric training. We just had a week-long program that we run in Toronto a couple of times a year called Matrix. We had a psychiatrist come in from Saudi Arabia. He had been practicing psychiatry for 16 years. He said the last 3 months have been really exciting because he's got into our information. Let me ask you a question. What does your mind look like? Because if you don't know what it looks like, you're not going to know where to find it, and you're going to have trouble changing it. Now think of that for a moment. Do you know when you start to think of your mind, you'll become confused. But understand this, out of confusion comes order. And it's a higher degree of order than that which existed prior to the confusion. Now this is what you're going to help people understand. You're going to help people in a company understand it. You're going to go in and show executives how to get this down right through their company. You're going to show it to your next door neighbor, or your brother or sister-in-law. You're going to show it to other people and show them how to change the course of their life. Life is short. There's something unique about every one of us. We're all hardwired to do something great. Most people just never wake up and understand that. Now, let's look at the mind for a moment, and let's look at paradigms. Let's become a little more personal. I want you to focus on you. Let's look at your mind and your paradigms. Okay? Now, there was a doctor in 1934 in San Antonio, Texas, Dr. Truman Fleet. He was very involved in the healing arts. He stated that the mind is an activity, it's not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind. However, we must have an image or there's no order in the mind. So he said, I'm going to create an image. And he did. And I'm going to tell you, it's an absolute genie. Now, when you look at this, if you've never seen this before, you're liable to smile. But I'm going to tell you, I could take you into some of the largest companies in the world, all over the world, because I've worked all over the world for the last 46 years. And anywhere I go, they'll tell you that is one of the most powerful drawings you'll ever see. See, what we're doing is bringing order to your mind. Now look at this. The top half of that big circle is the conscious mind. The bottom half is the subconscious. And then you have the body. The body is the instrument of the mind. That's exactly how it works. Now, the subconscious mind is where the paradigm is. Look at this for a moment. We go to school. School gives us valuable knowledge. However, school never teaches us how to alter the paradigm. Therefore, we frequently do not do what we already know how to do. Now, this is a real dilemma for a lot of people. Superior knowledge, inferior results cause frustration and confusion. Let's go back to our drawing again. School piles up the knowledge and the consciousness. You're going to find people that have degrees coming right off the end of a business card. But you know something? They don't have results to match all that knowledge. And they're puzzled. They can't figure out how they know so much, and they're stuck. Why is it that a person will have degrees and yet be broke? They could have a degree in management, in commerce, in economics, and still not earn any money. You see, the paradigm is what's really controlling us. The paradigm is in the subconscious mind, and that's what produces the results. And if a person is going to change their life, if they're going to change their results, it's absolutely essential that they change the paradigm. Now, the paradigm is the conditioning. It's genetic and it's environmental. As a thinking into results consultant with the Life Success Company, you will learn how to communicate this information effectively, and people will love you. They'll give you their love, they'll give you their business, and they will give you their money, because you're going to show them how to multiply their income, how to change their life. Literally, how to change their life. Now look here for a moment. You have the conscious mind, you have the paradigm, and the sensory factors. Now we are programmed to live through our senses. We go by what we hear, see, smell, taste, touch. But the conscious mind is also the intellectual mind. And we get into this in the thinking and results, and we start teaching this to people. When students learn this in school, their marks change dramatically. When did you learn anything about paradigms in school, about the intellect, or about these higher faculties? Perception, will, imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. Most of us learned very little, if anything, about it. We'd go right to our educational system and learn nothing about ourselves. Well, you know, you can put a person through a 6-month coaching program, because that's what you'd be doing as a consultant. And you'll be amazed just what happens. Now, you'll be thinking, well, I couldn't coach people. No, the program will coach them. You will just facilitate the coaching. Then you'll get to a point where you're as a consultant, your time is going to be worth an absolute fortune. See, it's the intellectual factors that we use to get rid of the old paradigm. And then here we are. When we learn how to do this, we can create an image in our mind and then get emotionally involved with that image. You know what happens? What Andrew Carnegie said. That image will move into physical form. Now that's how people get the results they're getting. And we're very show people how to do this. We show people how to literally change the course of their life. Anyone can do it. It is not difficult how to do it. So stay with me here. Let's look at this. There's only two known ways to change a paradigm. One is through an emotional impact, and the other is through the repetition of an idea. Now, look at how repetition works when changing paradigms. Let that white line represent the sound of a CD or a DVD playing. The red line that you're seeing here represents you listening to the sound of that CD or watching the DVD player. An idea comes along and hits your mind. The CD doesn't stop playing. The DVD doesn't stop. But you're not tuned in any longer. You're up here on a thought frequency. You're thinking about the idea that you heard back here. You hear the information, but you're not listening to it. You hear with your ears. You listen with your emotions. And then you come back down and you start listening again. And then bang, another idea hits, and away you go. And this continues on and on. You could actually listen to the same CD 1,000 times and not get the ideas off it the way you need them. But it's through the repetition that this all works. And it works like unadulterated magic. You're capable of doing it. Now think. What results would you like to get? Think of the people you would like to help change their results, because it does change like night and day. It truly does. I'm going to ask Sandra Gallagher to join us and explain the Thinking into Results program point by point, because she is truly the author of this program. As you heard Rebecca in her introduction, Sandra Gallagher came to a seminar in 2006. She had graduated from university 20 years before that as the top banking law student of all universities in the United States. A brilliant human being. Naturally, she had her pick of law firms and went to work with one of the largest law firms on Wall Street. Then she went back west to Seattle, where she was from, and started a law firm. And she had a very successful banking law practice. She was bringing banks together, community banks. She would help them merge. She would help banks acquire banks and acquisition. She helped turn companies public. She was involved in high finance, in big business, and absolutely phenomenal business. And then she came to the seminar that I was conducting, and she started to hear information that she had never learned in school. Here she was with a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate degree in law, and never studied what I was teaching. And she thought of the various mergers that she worked on, if the people only had this information. And so she made up her mind, sitting in that seminar, that she was going to learn everything that I knew. She was going to pick my brain. She bought all of our programs. She became a consultant with our company. She went through a 13-month coaching program. And then after a couple of years of all this research, she came to me and she said, I'd like to make a program. I'd like to make a program because I know where this information is really needed. And she said, I know what you know now. I would like you to do this with me. Well, one thing led to another, and we ended up making this program together. This is really her brainchild, though. She knew what I knew, so she would get me to go in front of a camera and she'd say, I want you to explain this idea. I want you to explain this idea. And what she was putting together was a process that would help people, regardless of their position, regardless of their superior intellect. It would help them alter the paradigm. But she also, in making this, was brilliant in her orchestration of the information, because it also works now for students in school. So an executive may have it, they take it home, and their teenagers would use it at home. So I'm going to ask Sandra if she would come and share this information with us.
Thank you, Bob. I love talking about thinking into results anytime I get a chance to, because it changed my life so dramatically. And, you know, it was an idea I had in a seminar room 6 years ago, just a little over 6 years ago. And it was just an idea, and now it's out there everywhere. We get amazing feedback on it from people all over the world on this world tour that Bob was talking about that we just got back from. We were in 6 time zones in 10 days. Amazing trip. And we just heard feedback from everywhere we went of people that just loved thinking into results. And I remember sitting in that seminar room August 18th, 2006, and coming up with the idea. It was such a transformational seminar I went to the first time with Bob Proctor. And you know, the thing that I'm most proud about with Thinking as a Result is the lessons that I learned from it, because I used the program to create the program. It's all about learning how to think. And here I was a lawyer, all kinds of degrees. I went to law school to learn how to think, or so I thought. But I'm hearing these ideas about how to think in such a different way. And I was winning. If you asked anyone that knew me, I was winning. I was at the top of my field, very well respected, making great money. But I saw all these people, clients, you know, in the boardrooms, in the executive offices, and they weren't getting the results they want. Bob just had the slide up that said superior knowledge, inferior results. Well, I was seeing that all over the place, but I didn't know how to help them because I didn't understand it. And all of a sudden in this seminar, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. And I started to really, really get it and see how transformational this was. And so, you know, I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to create a program with Bob that is all about this, teaching people to think. We've got to start to think in a new way. That paradigm that Bob was talking about, it'll knock us off our track all the time, left and right. We've got to override the paradigm of, you know, react instead of respond. We've got to override that paradigm of lack and limitation instead of abundance, of competition instead of creativity, and move towards what we want. And when we do, we start to understand what John Ruskin says here. See, he says education does not mean teaching people what they do not know. It means teaching them to behave as they do not behave. We all know we can do so much better than we're doing. And I would see these executives in the boardroom, and they were butting heads. They were stuck. They were smart enough. They had enough education. They could figure their way through a brick wall, most of them, but they were stuck. And in this information, I could see how valuable it was and how much it would change it for them. See, I was there working with them in the field of banking law and securities law, and here I was learning about universal laws and that we live in an orderly universe and we can get anything that we want when we begin to understand this, because thinking is the highest function that we're capable of. And so that's how I came up with the idea of thinking into results. And I came up with the name right there in August 18, 2006. And these are the 12 transformational subjects that are included in the program. And I came up with these by studying everything that Bob Proctor and Life Success offered. I remembered hearing the story that Bob told about how he wanted so badly to work with Earl Nightingale. And he says that he came on as a distributor because he knew that was the way to work closely with Earl Nightingale. And I saw that was the way to work closely with Bob, so I came on as a consultant. And I joined the coaching program, and in the process created Thinking into Results with these topics, all designed to get people to learn how to think in a way that gets them the results that they want. I'm not going to go over all 12 of these in any detail. I might highlight 1 or 2 of them, but I'll go over them briefly because, you know, what do we want people to start thinking differently about? For example, goals. It starts with worthy goals. Well, companies are certainly used to talking about goals. Most people are used to talking about goals in some shape or form. But here, we're talking about a goal that's worthy of you, something that inspires you, that brings out something that in you that is way beyond where you think is there. And that's exactly what I did with Thinking into Results. It's a whole new way of thinking about goals. Knowing doing gap, what's that? It's understanding the difference. Why don't we do what we know is going to get us what we want? Why are we doing the things that we know aren't going to get us what we want? And there's a process to understanding this and breaking through that knowing-doing gap, and it's huge. And we've seen such huge transformations just with that lesson alone. Power of the mind, J.B. Ryan, late J.B. Ryan of Duke University. The mind is the most powerful thing that there is, and we don't even know what it is. If we can teach a children language in school, we can teach them about the power of the mind. We should be teaching them about this. You know, the secret genie, that's the stick person graphic that Bob was just going over. So powerful. Bob said you might smile when you first see it. Well, I kind of chuckled. Like I really thought it was a little bit funny. But I'll tell you what, it creates order in the mind. There are executives all around the world that swear this is the most powerful lesson that they've ever learned and most powerful graphic, and has gotten them huge results in their lives. That's just one. If you just had that lesson alone, you would be able to go out and just make huge changes with your clients. Thinking into results. Now that's the lesson on our mental faculties, our intellectual faculties. This is where we tap into the higher side of our personality. You know, it's where freedom reigns. It's where we get really creative. It's a wonderful lesson. Lesson 6 on environment. This is about self-image and team image. So it's about your individual self-image, but also about the collective image of the entire team or company that you're working with. And environment is a looking glass, as James Allen says. It tells you exactly what the image is. And the beautiful thing is we can change it, our own image and our company's image, and that changes results. 7 is dealing with fear. I'll come back to that. That I'd have to say is my favorite of the 12. I'll tell you why. Number 8, power of praxis. Now, if you don't know what praxis is, don't feel bad, because most people don't. Praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. When you integrate your belief with behavior, your results become predictable. Until you integrate them, your results aren't predictable at all. It's a very powerful lesson. Magic word. What's the magic word? It's attitude. And yet you walk down the street and you ask people, well, what's the definition of attitude? You know, people know you got to have a good attitude, but they don't know what attitude is. It's aligning your thoughts and your feelings and your behavior. So again, your results are predictable. We bring out leadership in everyone in Thinking into Results program. We focus on power, huge power, in leaving people with the impression of increase. You know, givers do really gain. Jane Wilhite, a good friend of Bob Proctor's that runs Seminar, she said that, givers gain, and it's so true. And 12 is magnifying the mind, and that's just a really powerful lesson. But come back to the terror barrier, actually dealing with fear, we call it here. See, dealing with fear, that is the lesson that we call trample the terror barrier, identifying and avoiding the landmine that will sabotage your success. And we want to really understand this, because when we step out and try to change something in a big way, like if you're thinking seriously about coming into this industry, it's an amazing industry. I'm so grateful that I'm in it. And if you're thinking about it, just jump and come on in, because the win is gigantic. But if you're thinking about it and it's very different from what you're currently doing, as it was for me, then your paradigm's going to jump out there and put up a big fight. And when that happens, that's when you hit the terror barrier. And I mean, it's like, boom, you hit it. And so for most people, logic tells you, okay, that means to back off, you know, retreat into safety, go back to what's comfortable. But that is not a correct interpretation. What we want to do is understand what's going on. It's a paradigm that's given us a fight, and move through it. Move through it towards what it is that we really want. The most dangerous thing we can do is retreat back to safety. And when you go into this lesson in depth, you'll really, really grasp this and be able to make some huge changes. One of the biggest examples of this for me, because I said I used the program to create the program, I use it in every aspect of my life. And in 2009, Bob asked me to come on and take over as the president and CEO of all the life success companies. And there were 19 companies at that time. And I mean, this was a dream come true. Amazing industry, ability to make huge money while you're helping people transform their lives. You know, it's like nothing like it. And so I said, sure, absolutely, I'm in. But the paradigm is so smart. See, the paradigm had me convinced I could keep practicing law. So I did, full time, while I was running the life success companies. And I laugh at it now, but it wasn't so funny then. Bob came to me one day, And he gives me this look that only Bob can give. And he says, so, you know, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean, what am I doing? He said, well, are you in or you out? And I'm like, what do you mean, am I in or I'm out? And he's like, just gives me this look like, you know. And I got what he was saying. And I proceeded to try to convince him I could do both. And I see, he says, and he just left it at that. And I thought, okay, it's time. I've got to do it. It's long past time. So I wrote a letter. I had it all queued up to 2,000. Just picture yourself doing this if you're going to leave whatever career you're in and come into this industry and do this. All queued up, 2,000 of my clients and colleagues. And I'm ready to hit send, and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. And I picked up the phone, and I called Bob, and I said, I know exactly what's going on. It's a darn terror barrier, and I just can't hit. He says, hit send. He said, jump. You'll develop wings along the way. Hit send. And the way he said that last hit send, it just like shocked me into action, and my finger just hit that send button. And I heard that noise you hear when your email goes out, and I ran to my outbox and just quickly looked at my outbox to see if it got hung up and I could delete it. But I couldn't. It was gone. And thank God, because 24 hours later, 892 emails back. I wish I had that kind of passion. I wish I had the courage to do something like that. Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. I'm going to just sit here till the day I die. You know? Terror barrier. It's a really, really powerful lesson. And I'm so grateful I went through it. And if you really want to come in this industry, but you're hitting the terror barrier, I'm telling you, really, jump. Because all the hard work and the effort I put into it and going against the strong current that I'm sure you'll experience and paying the price to get to where I am, it all paid off way beyond what I ever thought. See, here's the point. When people begin to think, results change. They totally change. That is what thinking into results is all about. When people begin to think, results change. It's about showing people how to think in a way that will get them the results they want. Not what someone else wants for them, what they want. And it doesn't matter if it's a CEO, that's what I designed it for, CEO and directors and corporations. But I'll tell you what, we've got it in with business owners, we've got it with startup entrepreneurs, more seasoned entrepreneurs, we've got it with kids, we've got it in families. It is so powerful. And so now I want Bob to come back on and talk to you and tell you more about what is the opportunity for you with thinking into results.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Appreciate it. Let's take a look at what Buckminster Fuller said. He said, you never change things by fighting existing reality. To change something, you build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And that's really what you do with this program. You build a new model. As a consultant with Life Success and with the Thinking into Results program, you'll have a new model. This is a phenomenal industry, absolutely incredible. I have been in this industry now. Well, I've studied it for 51 years, a little over 51. I've worked in it for 46 years. I have a stellar reputation in the industry because I've been dedicated to it my entire adult life. And you're going to benefit from that because I'm going to be working with you. Now, here's a question you have to ask yourself. Why do some people earn so much more than others? And there's such a vast difference in incomes. That's something I wanted to know. And since that's what I was looking for, that's what I found. You see, if you're going to understand that, you have to understand the law of compensation. Emerson wrote the essay on the law of compensation. He wrote the essay, his essay on compensation, and it's very clear. I want you to look at this. The law of compensation clearly states the amount of money you earn will always be an exact ratio to, 1, the need for what you do, 2, your ability to do it, and 3, the difficulty there will be in replacing you. Well, let's back this up and take it one at a time. The need for what you do. I don't know what you're doing. I only know what we're doing. And I do know this. There is a phenomenal need for a person that can communicate this information effectively everywhere in the world. I work all over the world. Over the last couple of months, I've been in the countries that I've just told you about. I have been in Kiev. I've been in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. I could go on, and in Hong Kong. And everywhere I go, there is a need for someone to communicate this effectively. People are stuck worldwide. People are struggling, and they don't understand that they have the power within themselves to free themselves. The cage that they're in is not locked. They can open it, and they can go. The need here is phenomenal. Now, I was talking to this young fellow today, David, that I was telling you about. He's in real estate. There's a need for a real estate agent, a good one, but nowhere near the need there is for somebody in this business. The need here is astronomical. So it's your ability to do it. How good are you at it? Now, I'm very good at this. I often mention I'm not much good at anything else, but I don't want to do anything else. I've become very effective in this business. I know how to communicate it effectively. I know how, if you will follow instructions, I can show you exactly how to communicate this effectively. I can show you how to earn a lot of money and have a lot of fun in one of the most exciting adventures that you've ever been on. And when you become good at it, you're going to become very difficult to replace, and that's when the stock goes up. See, there's only one part you have to focus on, and that's your ability to do it. You want to become a master at whatever you do. I'll show you how to do that. Now, I think Vizarazi put it very well. He said, to change your life, you have to change your life. So basic. As a certified thinking into results consultant, you have the opportunity to earn very high income and at the same time gain tremendous satisfaction from your efforts. You can imagine how I felt when that woman stood up and told me 22 years ago I did a seminar that changed her life. You're going to get that because you'll never leave the business once you get in it. It's so satisfying. Now, Thinking into Results presented as a 6-month coaching program that you would facilitate. The consultant facilitates it. The program itself is designed to do the coaching. You do the facilitating. It would be a 6-month program. They use one DVD every day, twice a day for 2 weeks. You do a call with them once a week for an hour to 60 to 90 minutes. Answer some questions, keep them on track, and we'll show you how to do that. When a consultant facilitates a group class, their profit accelerates substantially. Now, your program costs you $595. There's a $2,000 profit in each one. So you can see if you're pretty good at this, it doesn't take long to get earning a lot of money. Now, as a Thinking into Results consultant, you're going to become an extension of Life Success Production in your area. We work with people all over the world. This is getting so exciting. You know, I remember a mentor who's gone now, God bless him, but he said to me when I first started in this business years ago, he said, Bob, the day's going to come when you and I are going to be as busy as the country doctor. Well, we are that busy. I have people all over the world want me to work with them. I want to work with you. I want you to help me do what I'm doing, help Sandy do what she's doing. We've got a phenomenal team of people in this company. You would love it. Absolutely love it. Now think, with your initial investment, you're going to receive 5 programs. But you're going to receive training that goes on ad infinitum. It never stops. The investment for this entrepreneurial opportunity, complete with training, is not substantial and therefore is available to all serious individuals, and terms are available. Now, if this interests you, I want you to go and leave your information, and we will get somebody with you right away. Go to bobproctor.com/earn-as-you-learn. It's a phenomenal opportunity. Get in a round table. Take a group of people and teach them how to get out of their box. Now think of this. It's like I told the young fellow on the phone today, David. I said, this scares you, doesn't it? Well, he said, sort of. And I said, no, it does, doesn't it? He said, yes, it does. But I said, it also excites you. You see, when the goal excites and scares you at the same time, you know you're going in the right direction. It excites you because you're doing what you want. It scares you because you're stepping into an area you've never gone before. Well, I love what Campbell said. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. It's so simple. It's so misunderstood. And all you have to do is make a decision. Now, Napoleon Hill pointed out, successful people make their decisions very fast, and they change them very slow, if and when they change them at all. I operate that way. I sure hope you operate that way. And I'm going to tell you something else. If you really want to win, and when you become a consultant, you will consult with people, and you will help them understand this. Don't even look sideways when you go to make a decision. Don't ask anyone what they think you should do, because they're going to tell you. They're going to give you their opinion, and then they're in control of your life. Only you know what you should do. Life is short. I often mention in a seminar that I wouldn't want to get to the end of the road where my mind was sharp as a tack, but maybe my body was shot. And you find people like that. They're in crib beds or maybe tied into a wheelchair. But their mind is sharp, and they reflect back on their life, and they're thinking, I wonder what would have happened if we had done that. I wonder what would have happened if we had moved there. I wonder what would have happened if we had sold the house or mortgaged the house and bet the farm on it. I wonder what would have happened. I wouldn't want to do that, because you know you can't go back and do it over again. When I get to the end of the road, I'm going to look back and I'm going to say, God, I remember when we did that. I remember when I moved there. I have lived a really exciting life, and I think I'm just getting warmed up. Do you know something? Age has got nothing to do with this. I'll be 79 on my next birthday. I got more energy than most people 29. I will burn you out if you tried to follow me. I'm going to show you how to do this. And if you want to earn $1 million, I'll show you how to earn $1 million. If you'll do exactly what I tell you, you follow instructions, I guarantee you'll make it happen. Don't back away from this opportunity. If there's something inside saying, go for it, go to that site. BobProctor.com/earn as you learn. Sandy, I want to thank you for coming on the call. And Rebecca, I want to thank you. You're doing a great job as the executive director of this program. And I want to thank you for coming on the call and giving us the opportunity to share this tremendous opportunity with you. This is Bob Proctor, and thank you.